but when we'll see what you can change them. I believe there's a tree view and a classic view, but over here in the upper left, see this workflows? That's the thing I was telling you about, is where you can build workflows, and those workflows can do systems things for you, like sysadmin things for you, or system programming things. Okay. And then there's the workflow editor to be able to change those workflows. And over here, everything SDSF can do and more. So all those things you get out of SDSF are right here. Now, there actually is an ISPF in it. If you need to get to ISPF, it's there. It's a GUI ISPF. Capacity provisioning is here. Workload management for the performance and tuning people. Resource management, resource monitoring, usage statistics, software management. Well, that's the path they're headed down, so that you don't have to be an S&P expert. But I can tell you this, big shops, they'll always know how things are working in case something goes wrong. They want to know what's behind things. ZOS operator consoles, those are available too. But whatever you log in with, you'll still have, the way I connected you to this, you're still limited by your ID as to what operator commands you could enter. So you're still limited to display commands. Okay. Oh, someone brought up a good point. It would work nice with a touch screen. Huh. Yeah, we'll tell that to Gary next time I see him. And there's all kinds of little other things in here too, like to look at data sets. You see this hourglass down here? Very interesting. You can just go after data sets with this. And so I didn't know about that until I was together with one of the product guys, and he's also a technician, and he showed it to me. I went, wow, that's pretty cool. Oh, do you need an SDSF license to use it from ZOSMF? That's a great question. You know what? I don't know. That's a great question, though. I'll probably try to find out the answer to that myself. SDSF is here, but do you need to buy SDSF for it to work? Great question. Wow. And I don't know the answer. If there's any other IBMers out there that want to go try to find out, please do. Okay. So let me go to the next screen. Oh, many RACF configurations. You betcha. You betcha. They give you a whole script for what you want to do with RACF that you have to look at. And yeah, lots of RACF configuration parts to it. Thank you for pointing that out, David. Now, that's the ISPF one. So from ZOSMF, you can get the ISPF, just like you know. And just think, if you didn't know ISPF, but somebody learned from ZOSMF and they saw that, they would go, what's this? And the people know about ISPF say, oh yeah, I know about that. You know, I know about that. Now, this is what I showed you. Down at the lower right-hand corner, I used to call them pancakes, but I understand that symbol's called hamburger or something. I don't know what other people call it. I used to call it pancakes, but I understand it's a hamburger. So if you do the hamburger, you can see what's new, getting started, about ZOSMF desktop, which there's a desktop component. Oh, somebody said it is a hamburger. Thank you. I didn't know what it was, so I just called it pancakes. And then there's help. Okay, and then this one down here, the hourglass, you can look at, oops, I was moving things around. That one gives you data set access. And I just discovered that probably in February when I was with one of the primary developers. He said, look at this. I went, wow, that's cool. You got to click on all these little icons to see what they do, kind of hunt and peck. So ZOSMF is a server based on Liberty Profile, and you can have a ZOSMF client with imported plugins to work with it, or just use HTTPS for REST services, and it can talk to other things. So there's a strategy to it. It's all REST based, and there's going to be products on the client side too if you want. So you can have a network administrator, and the network administrator, this is one of the many things that they did early, because some of the network configuration stuff, especially for security and other things, was pretty deep. And so they tried to use ZOSMF to make network administration earlier. So network administrators, they could define ports and Apple IDs and IP addresses, and it would go into communication server. So they were trying to make network administration easier. The other thing they were doing, security administration. They were looking at how can we make the security administrator's job easier. So it goes on and on. As I say, the different administrators and the different system programming tasks, operational tasks. And so this is something that comes straight out of the books and also gives you a strategy for things that they're doing. Okay. So they've got grandiose plans to so-called make things easier. Now, you can go to the ZOS Internet Library, and there's going to be a bookshelf called IBM ZOS Management Facility, and there's some books in here, Configuration Guide and the Programming Guide. And I'm sure there's red books on it. I haven't gone and looked, but I'm sure there's red books. So I just described ZOSMF. I described the purpose of ZOSMF, and what are the services? Right there. There's the services. So how do I get to ZOSMF, and how can you get to it? Let's do it. Real live lab. So bring up a browser, and I recommend, I think Firefox may be the browser you want, because Chrome now is so tight. I think it's Chrome that won't accept untrusted certificates unless you say in the whole configuration. But by default, I think Firefox will say, hey, this is an untrusted certificate, and you can go into advanced and accept it. Now, I just accepted it earlier. I can flush it out. But let me see what happens here. If I say, and this is what you're going to want to do, HTTPS semicolon // and then you give it the IP address. And the port that it's listening on is 10443. And then you go /ZOSMF, just like that. And if you hit enter, it may come back for you and say, you're trying to accept an untrusted certificate, or there's an untrusted certificate. I just accepted it earlier. I could recreate it by deleting the certificate. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter here and see what happens. Yeah, and Vincent mentioned firewall blocks unsigned certs. Yeah, so some of you may not be able to get to it at all. And that's, because it's supposed to, they're putting high security on things. Yes, please contact the website owner to inform them of this problem. And I'm not the website owner. Well, put it this way, that when they say that, the website owner, they say you need to get a certificate from them. Now, who's that going to be? In your shop, it's going to be whoever set it up. Now, I wasn't in a position to create a CA and a public certificate and a private one and distribute it to everybody. I wasn't in a position to do that, because there was over 800 people enrolled. Okay, so if I do that, I go right in. But I will tell you that I could delete the certificate. And what it did to me in Mozilla Firefox, it said, this is an untrusted certificate. So then there's an advanced button. Click on advanced. And then when you click on advanced, there's a place where you can say proceed with the untrusted certificate if the firewall won't block you. Someone can try that if they want and see if, and they'll let me know if they get in. So here's what happens. I'm going to log in with my student ID because I already accepted the untrusted certificate. Oh, someone said IE worked better for them. So Internet Explorer worked for that person. Oh, the person said they got in with Chrome. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So here's the welcome screen. And by the way, over here on the left, it talks about the classic interface, but you could just get rid of the welcome screen. So I just X that, see what we got. Now, these are the classic interfaces like ISPF. But I think what you can do, we can set up the interface that I talked about, which was the where all the icons are. You see ISMF settings. Let me see if this is it. Now, the students may not have access to everything. Let me see if I can get that other setting here. This is classic. Because I just did this the other day and was able to get the GUI one. But anyway, what I'll do here, just for the sake of argument, I'm going to go into ISPF. And what it does, see, it actually creates a login procedure. You know, I'll just accept the default, just say apply. Oh, here's a code page. Screen size, 24 by 160. That's interesting. What else are they doing in there? Oh, then colors. So I just say apply. And then okay. The account number's wrong. Oh, that's right. I forgot. This wasn't set up. So what I need to do, let me just get out of this, because the account number we have in there is not our RACF account number. I happen to know what it is. It's FB3. So let's try that again. But if you want to use it, what you need to do, right here, account number, FB3. That's in our RACF database. So let's see if that'll work with FB3. So I'm going to say apply, okay. Oh, ICK or IKJ account. So I'm going to use a different one. I'm going to use the one we're using for our TSO logon. I just didn't spend the time to think about this or customize it. So I'm going to go ISPF again. And I'm going to try one of them that we can do is, I know that in our RACF database, there's one called SPF Proc E. SPF Proc E, that's one thing we set up on our system. It's a logon procedure. And the default one in ZOSMF wasn't set up to match our RACF. So I needed a logon procedure of SPF Proc E, account number FB3. And now I'm going to apply that, and I'm going to try that. Thinking a little bit longer. Oh, yeah. Somebody said editing data sets is very similar to VS Code. Yes, we're going to talk about that tomorrow. It was Zoe. Absolutely it is. Yeah, it's a little bit slow, probably because a lot of people are trying it. Requested action is processing, makes several minutes. Well, that goes back to the person's point. Oh, it's SPF, not SPS. SPF is in Foxtrot. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm logged on, so it had an NQ on my other logon that I have. That's interesting. And that table opens because I'm logged on right here. Yeah, that's what's going on. I have to log off of there to get to ISPF because there's an NQ. But I'm kind of curious now, how are things going? Let's see if we're using up a lot of memory. ASM will tell me, because if we're starting a page now, we're doing pretty good. Now, let's see how many people are connected to it right now. I'm giving a little bit of a volume test here. Yeah, look, there's sync received. This means we're trying to get in. Yeah, people are trying to get in. Yeah, there's a lot of people trying to get in. Some people may have gotten in. See all these things? We just caused ZOSMF to kind of, whoa, a lot of people are hitting that right now. Yeah. Okay, the ZWE is Zoe. And kind of driving the machine nuts, but that's okay. Okay. Let me go back to my session here. Oh, that's right. I got to get out of my TSO session over here, so I'll just log out. Hold that to not hold that up. There's an NQ. We could configure it so the NQ can be bypassed. But, oh, I didn't mean to do log on. Log on. That's good enough. Just be out. Okay, so let me close this and try to reopen it. See if that NQ went away. Oh yeah, somebody's pointing out your ZID top right when using the desktop. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and launch a new one. Oh, there's the ZID right there. Yeah. Okay, so I SPF proc E, FB3, apply it. Okay, let's see if that NQ went away because I logged off on the other one. Yeah, and so we're just, a lot of people are trying to get in, so it's a little bit slow, that's for sure. There we go, finally. Get rid of that. Oh, there's a license message, but here's our good old ISPF. Close that. Here it is. Okay, so you know how to navigate this now. And let's go after consoles. Now, for the consoles, I connected everybody to this, but there's a little bit of a trick to it. Setup required. And so I can click it, click setup required. Okay, it's fine. It gave me a bunch of, it's trying to be helpful to people doing it for the first time. Setup required. Let's see. I thought I did everything that's supposed to be done for that. Oh yeah, I forgot. You select it and then you go up to actions. That's what you have to do. So select it. That's the system in the Sysplex, because you could have many systems. Then you go up to actions and you do complete setup. I'm like, well, why don't you just do that in the first place? Oh, it's giving me a unique number is what it's doing. That's kind of interesting because that's new. I used to have to set some things up. So I'm going to select that, and it gave me a number, took the last 4 digits of my ID, and then applied the system name. So they've automated some of that. So I'm going to go, I'm going to click setup complete. Well, that's illegal. All right, it's illegal. Let me filled something in, but I thought that I had, let me just put my ID in there. Because there is a RACF thing I can do to make all this work. It's changed recently. Oh, that setup complete. So I just put my ID in there and it worked. And then I go to actions, start console. Okay, that works. I should get something here to enter commands. It says connected. Okay, I know I'm connected, but give me my little prompt to enter things. It's connected. Actions. Open console. Oh, then I got to open it. Okay, so open console. Now I got it. All right, so I want to do D space TS comma L to see all time sharing users, and there we are. Okay, a lot of people still logged on. Okay, I want to do D space IPL info. There we are. You know, it's kind of like, for me, going SDSF is pretty good. Oh, that's interesting. Somebody said, yeah, I see a thing out there. Maximum number of TSOE address spaces has been reached. Very interesting. So let me see the number of address spaces I had. I thought I had that number. Oh, no, I did. Oh, I had 2000 for VTAM connections. But let me see what I have for TSO, for TCAS. And I believe we can look at this. This may not be the right command. No. There is a command for seeing max users or user max. And I just don't remember it off the top of my head. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the good old fashioned ISPF and take a look because I know where that's coded. I'm going to go to the parameter library because when we start up TSO, I tell it the user max. I want to see what number I gave it. So let me go look at the TCAS proc to find out where the input came from. And it came from vendor.parmlib member TSO key VN. That's the member. So I go there. Vendor.parmlib. TSO key VM. I said user max 2000. That's interesting. So somebody saw that somewhere. That's an interesting one. I could report that to the development group. Well, we're not using IKJ TSO00. We're using IKJ, and it's in 00. Well, the user max comes from here. But max user, there's a max user for the whole operating system. And I don't know if there is a max user parameter for the entire operating system, but the user max for TSO was in there. But I'm going to go ahead. Somebody mentioned, let's look at IKJ TSO, which I'll do. Okay, that one's at 10,000, that value. Yeah, see, max user's not in there. Where max user's located, and I know because I know what you're thinking about. That person that mentioned that, I know exactly what they're thinking about, and I'll show you where that is. That's a global behavior parameter that is read at IPL time. And where that is, I believe it's in our IASYS member, right there. So my max user count is 2,400. Now, we could have hit that because there are so many Zoe socket connections and IZU connections that it's potentially, we're operating an 8 gig, which is amazing. And if we hit that max user amount of 2,400, that's pretty darn amazing, an 8 gig. So let's see if some people are still getting that. Are there a number of people that did successfully log on to ZOSMF? If you have, just put a Y for yes. Yeah, a number of people did get in. Some people didn't. But we're giving it a pretty good stress test right now, that's for sure. And let's go look at the system itself. I'll actually use the console over in ZOSMF now. Oh, by the way, there's all kinds of things if you got the authority. SDSF's got a lot of really powerful things in it. Let's take a look at system status. See how much authority we got as students to do this. And I'm going to select this, actions, select all, sure. Okay, now what? Actions, view. Oh, these are for the WLM, workload management. And actually configure columns. That's kind of interesting. Well, these are all selected already. So let's see what choices I've got here. So I haven't configured this myself. I'm kind of hunting and pecking, as you can see. So let's try view, workload definitions. Okay, this is for the people who do the performance. Not be retrieved. Was servant ID was not authorized. Oh, I've got to start this thing called CIM. Yeah, so I don't have things fully configured. Yeah, because you got to configure other things for it to populate a lot of this stuff. But one thing I want to try is this one. I think this one should work. Down here, if we go to one of these, had the little, we should find those icons down there in the lower right. But I believe that was on the, not the classic view, and there's a way to switch the view. Oh, here we go. Let's switch user desktop interface. Let's try that. There it is. Someone actually told me about this in the chat, and I didn't realize what they were telling me. Thank you. So it's starting to trying to write this stuff. Finally, it wrote it. Now, here is that hourglass thing. No data to display. Maybe because I got to get a filter. Because that person said, hey, I think that operates kind of like Zoe. It looks like it does. Zoe, there we go. Okay, so if I go to my, oh, by the way, this will be a good test. Zoe can't read this because it's got packed decimal in it. I'm curious now if ZOSMF can. It may not be able to read it because it's got packed decimal. Yeah, Sam. Oh, wow, it did. So Zoe can't look at this at all. It wouldn't even open it because of that packed decimal. But I can tell Gary that, yeah, actually, you guys at least opened it. Now, if I go to my JCL data set, okay, and I should get the members here. There they are. Let's take C run. There's the JCL. Okay. Now, Zoe's very much like this that somebody pointed out earlier, and we're going to do Zoe tomorrow. But Zoe does, it's more for, it's a modernization tool where you can submit things and everything else. See what else we have here that might be of interest. I'm just going to click on SDSF to see what happens. I think we've got to initiate a session with SDSF. It's going to prompt us for possibly another logon. Oh, how do we get the console view? I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so what you want to do is console. It's somewhere over here. I saw it in the other view. Oh, here it is. System operator console. What you have to do, you select S0W1 right there, and you have to go up to actions, and you'll end up, you need to complete the setup. And when I completed the setup, I just used my ID as a console. That's all I did. But then after setup is complete and you plug in your ID as a console, then you say actions start console, and then you have to go actions open console. Now I have the console. And from here, I can enter commands like D space ASM for auxiliary storage manager. And move that across. So you got a huge amount of lines going across. D space time sharing users. Okay. So this is just a little bit of ZOSMF, and it's another way of navigating. And they plan to do a lot more with it in the future. But Zoe, that we're going to use tomorrow, from the client side, depends upon port 10443. We connect to 10443, but not to the ZOSMF console. But we connect to 10443 and then interact with it. But what you have to do, for those that really want to do it, you have to install VS Code and you have to install the Zoe plugins. Some of you already may have VS Code installed, and I already did it. But VS Code is the Microsoft thing. It's gotten pretty popular. but a lot of people are building plugins for VS Code. Okay. Okay, so it's approaching 3, and it's a lot of detail for those of you that are new, even for those that are not new. You're late at night, and we still have, we still have 243 people online. Pretty remarkable. So let's, just before we close, I'm curious, who can give me the latest hour that it is? Like, is it 2 a.m. somewhere, 3 a.m.? We'll see. Here, I'm just at 3 p.m. Yeah, someone's approaching midnight. Oh, that person approach. Oh my gosh, Singapore, 4 a.m. Woo! Oh my gosh. Well, my hat's off to you for taking the interest and time wanting to learn this. So looks like Singapore wins, 4 a.m. So I'll let you get to sleep, and we're done for the day. Tomorrow, I may do a few more labs, just very briefly, and then we'll finish off the rest of it. I'll get to talk about Linux and ZVM, not deeply, just at a high level. Oh, Chile's 4 p.m. in Chile, not 4 a.m. Okay, so we're done for the day. Thank you all for your time and interest. I'll leave the chat open for a little bit, and I'm going to go on mute. Talk to you tomorrow.